Yeah, go.
Yeah, we're ready. We're filming. Hey,
Oh,
hello everyone.
all right, one sec. Ah.
Welcome back to another video from Twins Talk.
Oh, you're saying it.
Apparently we don't talk. Welcome back to another video of Twins Talk Arse. We're doing our match ratings after the dismal performance that was Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Stats, what you think about Leno? What are you giving him?
Yeah, I think he had a good performance overall. I'd probably give him a solid 6, maybe even a 7 out of 10. Made some very good saves that kept us in the game, especially in the first half. Didn't have as much to do in the second half, but I think he's still well deserving of a decent score.
I think I agree. Yeah, I think Leno 7 kept us in the game, made some good saves. Can only do what's in front of him. So well done to Leno. I think for me, Luiz gets a 6. He came in after not playing a few games. Didn't feel like we missed Pablo Mari that much. His distribution was good. I thought Luiz did pretty well. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he had a decent game overall. He, together with Rob Holding, they managed to, contain Benteke and Zaha. Palace didn't have too many, quick counter attacks during the game. I think Arsenal did manage that well overall. And, that's due in a large part to David Luiz and Holding's performances. So, off the back of that, I'd probably give Holding a 6 as well. I think he had a fairly solid performance overall, at the heart of the defence.
Yeah, I think I agree. Holden as well. Would have given him a 7 if he'd scored, but he didn't. Still waiting for that guy
I
to.
would have given him a 10 if he'd scored.
Yeah. Um, moving on to, I'm going to talk about Bellerin before I talk about Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think Bellerin, I would give like a 6.5. The guy has come for a lot of stick from Arsenal fans, but I actually thought he played well today. He was trying to drive us forward. He's been kind of picking up on Tierney a little bit, I think, and trying to do what he does. And I think he tried to make some stuff happen today, and also he got in some really important interceptions, and he dealt with Zaha quite well, who's not an easy character to deal with. So I think I'd give Bellerin a 6.5 today.
Yeah, no, fair play. I think Bellerin, he probably bombed up and down that right-hand side more than he's, maybe used to. Maybe he leaves it to Tierney when they're both fully fit and they're on either flank. But, now that Tierney wasn't playing today, I do think Bellerin kind of took the initiative and tried to make things happen. It
Yeah,
didn't always work, but he tried his best, and I think he put in a good performance overall. He was at the heart of a few decent moves.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I think we can't say that about our left back for the evening, Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Ainsley disappointed me today. The guy played very well at the end of last season. He's been out of the squad for a while, which I appreciate would affect his form. But he's got Kieran Tierney in front of him, a man that's killing it. And you would think that he'd want to come back and be like, this is my spot. You're taking my spot. I'm gonna like lay a marker down. And he just didn't. And it kind of makes you think like, should we have sold the guy to Wolves? Because he wasn't awful today, but nowhere near Kieran. He's not challenging for that left back spot at all. And then where you fit Ainsley Maitland-Niles in. So
Yeah,
disappointing today.
I do think it's hard. I mean, when you look at his first half performance, especially, he looked nervous. His passing distribution wasn't great. He didn't look comfortable at left back. I think the other big problem as well is if you kind of looked at the way that we played when we had possession. Granit Xhaka went to more of a left back role, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles went to more of a central midfielder role, or a more of a winger role. But again, that type of role didn't suit him. His passing wasn't as crisp as maybe it could have been, and I think a lot of our moves broke down on the left-hand side as a result of his inadequate passing range, basically, and even his inability to make simple passes at times.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think unfortunately I'd probably have to give him a 3 or a 4 if I'm being very generous. I don't think he was up to scratch today, unfortunately.
Yeah. Nothing else to say. Couldn't agree more. I think Xhaka in the middle of the park did actually very well today. Not everything he tried came off, but he was trying, and he made some important interceptions. And he battled today, and great performance from Xhaka, which you don't often see. The guy's made mistakes before, but today he was good. I'd give him a. I think I'll give Xhaka a 7 today. He's probably one of my man on the matches on Arsenal side, because there's not many good performances to talk about. What would you give to Ceballos?
Ceballos, I think, I'd maybe only give him a 5, being generous. With Ceballos, he had some good passes at times. His passing distribution at times was good. He created or assisted in the build-up to a handful of decent chances, but I think overall, he maybe didn't have the tenacity that someone like Granit Xhaka had in this game. Yeah. His passing distribution to an extent is fairly limited, which hindered us in this game. I think he doesn't offer so much to Arsenal. And, when Thomas Partey is fully fit, I think, Ceballos will be warming the bench.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I've spoken about this dude before. For me, he's a squad player. He's a squad player that doesn't add much when he plays in our team. And he also disrespects Arsenal. All he does is chat about how he wants to go back to Real Madrid, play for Real Madrid. Paying this guy's wages. We're giving Real Madrid a loan fee for him. We're not getting any selling value for him. And he's a bang average player. Like, I don't get why we're doing this. So for me, it was a 5. I think we should let him go at the end of the year. I don't see him getting back into the team now. Partey is back, Partey and Xhaka in front of him. Let's shout about Abba. Abba out on a wing. For me, Abba's trying, but nothing's happening for the guy. And at the moment, we're carrying him, and he's a bit of a liability. I think Arteta doesn't really know where to play Abba. I think, for me, Abba's a very good player when we're playing well. He's good at finishing chances, but he's not got the rest of what it takes to be a world-class striker. Like Thierry Henry could set up goals, he could bring other players in, he could link play up. Abba can finish, and that's about it. So when he's not finishing, what's he adding to the team? And it's that question which I think Arteta needs to work out. And also, if Lacazette's playing so well that you're going to play Lacazette through the middle, what does Abba bring to the wing? Because he can't beat a man. He's not going to take on a man and put in a great cross. You want him in the box, heading that cross in. For me, Abba gets a 5 today. And it's another 5. Another 5 from a string of 5s that he's had since the Man United game.
Yeah. I think with Aubameyang, it's a tough one. I think, he was responsible for a lot of good moments at Arsenal in the last 2.5 years that he's been at the club. In his first 2.5 years that he's been at the club. This season, for one reason or another, it hasn't quite worked out for him. I do think it slightly is a bit to do with the formation. He's not suited in a winger role. He needs to be closer to the penalty box. So to an extent, that's not a fault of his own. But it's hard. I think he doesn't offer as much as someone like Lacazette in the sense of the hold-up play, the aerial ability. But he's a clinical finisher, which is all the more reason why he needs to be closer to the penalty area and, in and around the box when we're creating chances.
I think it's more right to say he was a clinical finisher. Now, I've seen him miss a few chances. I love the guy. He's in a bad vein of form right now. That vein of form is starting to get on to nearly 6 months. So I want to see him turning around quick, but if he's not playing well at the moment, I don't know why we're continuing to play him, because it's not like we're smashing every team that we're coming up against and we can afford to carry a guy like that. We can't. So, today when we took off Laka, for me, we lost all our attacking threat when we took Lacazette off. I don't know why we took Lacazette off when Abba was so poor. So he needs to start delivering soon. I love the guy. I'm sure he will, but it needs to happen sooner rather than later. What do you think about Saka on the other side?
Yeah, good. I mean, Saka, I think, was at the heart of a lot of our good chances, and our performance overall. Saka was at the heart of a lot of it. He works hard. He puts the effort in. I think, yeah, for Saka, maybe I'd give him a 6 out of 10. The hard work, the determination is there. He's a willing individual, a willing footballer. He does try to make things happen on the pitch. It didn't work out for him today, but through no fault of his own, he put the effort in and tried his best to get a result for Arsenal.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'd
What
agree
did you
with that.
think of Emil Smith Rowe?
Emil, I like the guy. It wasn't his best performance today. Not everything that he touched turned to gold, which is what has been happening in the last few games. Um, bit of a average performance today, but then that's what you're going to get when you're playing a 19-year-old and you're depending on a 19-year-old to create your chances and drive your team. So I don't blame the guy. This is why we need a backup for Emil. Everyone was saying when he came in, oh, like, don't sign anyone, like, don't look at Isco, etc., etc. He's an injury-prone 19-year-old. At the end of the day, he's a very good injury-prone 19-year-old, but he's an injury-prone 19-year-old. And if he doesn't perform well, which because of his age, he's not going to every single game, or if he gets injured, Arsenal we're stuck. So yeah, I think 5 average
Yeah.
performance from Emil today. We need to look at getting a backup because if he's out, we've got no one.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, when you look at someone like Emil, he has had some good performances in his early Arsenal career. This season he's had some really good performances against Chelsea, against Brighton, against Newcastle when he came on in the FA Cup. But he is young. He is, inconsistent. He's not going to perform week in, week out. And ultimately, I do think Arsenal need to look at getting another creative player who can kind of ease the burden on him, so to speak. And,
Yeah.
Emil's not going to perform week in, week out, or even if he does, it's also good to have someone who can potentially play alongside him rather than simply just to replace him as well. I think in these types of games, like against Crystal Palace, arguably the more creative players you have on the pitch, the better. So, it might have been good to have another offensive attacking midfielder on the pitch today. But, when you look at our bench and our squad in general, we don't really have another player like Emil. So it's hard to give him the support he needs without looking externally.
Yeah. Completely.
Yeah. What did you think of Lacazette?
Laka, I'd give a 6. I think he was one of our. Now, I got to give the guy a 5. I think he tried to play well, but he didn't have enough of the ball to be able to for me to give him anything higher than that. At least he's trying, At least he put the effort in today, but I've not really got much to say about Laka. It was a 5 today.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be the same basis really from my end. I think it was tough. I think there was a lack of service. In the first half, Aubameyang only had 7 touches, which obviously is terrible. But then Lacazette wasn't far off it. I think Lacazette only had a handful more than Aubameyang. So,
Yeah.
I think it's tough. I think as much as we can maybe criticize our attacking players, I think they're not necessarily getting the service that they need ultimately for them to be creating the chances.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we can address in the January transfer window. But if not, I think we definitely need to look at in the summer. We need to get players in who can ultimately bridge this gap between our midfield and our attack, which at this moment in time is too big. Our attacking players aren't getting the service they need, and as quickly as maybe they should be getting the ball ultimately.
Yeah, I agree.
What did you think of our subs? What did you think of Thomas Partey? What did you think of Eddie Nketiah? And what did you think of Pepe?
Let's rattle through the subs. For me, Eddie Nketiah, 5. Didn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Nketiah came on at the very end. He didn't really have too much time to kind of have a meaningful impact on the game.
Yeah, Thomas Partey, 5. I'm pretty sure Arteta wanted to bring him on when Arsenal were winning and it was a comfortable game. Didn't turn out like that. He brought him on into a bit of a dogfight. And 20 minutes just wasn't enough time for Thomas after such a long layoff to kind of implement himself on the game. So as a 5, I'm sure I'm going to expect and see much better things from him today. But it was just a performance today. And our last sub,
Pepe.
Pepe. There's a reason why I forgot. Guy gets a 4. Gets a 4 just because of the price tag that we paid for him and the kind of impact that you were expecting from him and what he gave. It was poor today. I know the guy is trying. I know it's hard. I know it's not his fault that we paid £70 million for him, but we did at the end of the day. And you're expecting him to be at least as good as Saka, and he's not.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I think when he came on, he I know the price tag isn't his fault, so to speak, but you do expect a lot from him given the price tag that we paid. It's a lot of money that we paid for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for him to come on and score a hat trick, but you expect him to come on and look lively with the ball, to create a few chances. But every time he got the ball, it would be an easy pass back to Bellerin or an easy pass back to like David Luiz or Ceballos. It didn't look like he was actively, trying to create chances. Ultimately, it doesn't really look like he cares at this moment in time. His work rate isn't really there. He just kind of looks a bit lazy and like he can't be bothered.
I think that's the thing that gets to Arsenal fans. That's what I pick up on as well. Like, he looks a little bit arrogant and a little bit lazy. And when you got players like Tierney and Saka and Emil who are showing every game, they didn't have good games today, but they showed they wanted to be in the
They
team.
still tried.
Yeah. And you've got all them for free and you've got him for 70 million. It's annoying to see him play. So, I think he's going to return to the bench in the next game. And I think without some drastic improvement, he's going to stay there for a while. Our last talking point is Arteta. I give the guy a 6 today. A 6 because from where we were when we brought Arteta in, we look a lot stronger defensively. It's been a long time since we've had the kind of strength in depth, or we've been able to talk about our defenders in the way that we can. We had Pablo Mari injured. We had who's been excellent for us. Luiz came in, did very well. Rob Holding's been excellent, just signed a long-term deal. And then we've got Gabriel coming back as well, our player of the month for the last 3 months. And then you've got Tierney, and then you've got Bellerin as well. Just for the defensive solidity that he gave us today, I will give him a 6. We didn't create much, but there were other points in Arsenal's history where we would have wilted and conceded in this game. And we didn't. We held out for the clean sheet and the 0-0. So he gets a 6. He's got problems to solve, but he's got time to solve them.
Yeah, I think that's a big point kind of thing. He has helped to address our defensive vulnerabilities. It has maybe unbalanced us from an offensive viewpoint, but I think we do just need to stick with Arteta, give him time. Let's see what happens in a year, in 2 years' time. If we're still in the position we're in now, in a year or two's time, then it might be, best to look elsewhere. But, at this moment in time, it's his first managerial role. And also, he hasn't been at Arsenal a long time. He's been at Arsenal, just over a year now. He does need time for his ideas to be embedded into the club. They are quite different from like Emery's ideas, Emery's philosophies. They are even a fair bit different from Wenger's ideas and philosophy. So, he will need a bit of time for his ideas to be embedded within the team, and also, within the upper level, the director levels, etc., for them to kind of, buy into his philosophy and in turn buy in the appropriate players, which will suit his philosophy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's trying to implement his philosophy with effectively the mismatch of Emery and Wenger's team. So I think give him time. I think we'll get it to work. He sorted out our defense, which for a lot of Arsenal fans, that was the big complaint. That was the reason we wanted to get rid of Wenger, same failing, same problems year in, year out. You've got somebody that sorted that problem out, so he deserves a bit of time. But I think that's it for our match ratings. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, comment, like, please feel free to do so. We would love it. We're always looking for feedback. Do you have anything else to say, Stas?
No, just following on from that note, I mean, you know, if you guys have any comments that you want to leave, either, you know, for new content for us to talk about, or just any general discussion points, and you know, we'll be more than happy to discuss it on the next video, or you know, create a separate video for whatever you guys want us to discuss.
Yep, that sounds great. All right, guys, up the Gooners. We'll see you at our next match day. Until then, bye bye. Peace.
Bye bye.